Welcome back. It's the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. You know, there's not many times on this show that I brought up this idiot scumbag, Alex Jones. If you don't know who he is, he's the founder of InfoWars. Basically what it is, it's ridiculous conspiracy theories that he brings up, unsubstantiated. But here's where I have a problem with it. I'll give you an example. Horrible mass shooting, right? School shooting that happens in Connecticut years ago. I think we're going on maybe somewhere around maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago. It was a while ago. Bunch of 7- and 8-year-old kids and some adults lost their lives at the hands of a nut. These kids are dead. Parents, grandparents, still grieving, and rightfully so. Horrible situation. So what does this idiot Alex Jones decide to do just to get clicks, just to make money, for no other reason? He says that it was a hoax. He says that the school shooting didn't happen. And at the hands of hurting people, hurting innocent people, grieving families. Because that's the kind of person that Alex Jones is. All he cares about is money and fame. He doesn't care about, the consequences of the things you say. He doesn't care. That is Alex Jones in a nutshell. He is a nutjob conspiracy theorist, piece of crap. That's what he is. So there was a family disturbance at his house. Now, I know that he divorced one of his wives in 2015. How any woman could even stand this man is beyond me. And now, apparently, he had another disturbance, a family disturbance with a current wife, even though there's nothing on the books that says the guy's even married. This happened at about 12:30 a.m. this morning. It's a driving while intoxicated case, and it happened in the heart of Texas. And the former InfoWars host was busted for this. He was booked, and according to the Travis County Sheriff's Department, he was back on the streets by 4 a.m. after posting a $3,000 bond. And as you might expect, Jones is telling his own version of what actually took place. He went on his stupid Alex Jones Show podcast, said he blew under the legal limit of a .08, which the police are not saying is true. And he says the whole charge will go away. And InfoWars is now already floating a conspiracy theory saying Jones was caught in this DWI sting aimed at increasing the sheriff's department's number of arrests. Again, no proof. But according to police documents, cops were called to Jones' residence for a family disturbance, and when they arrived, his wife had claimed that they had a verbal altercation that was physical. And she said it had happened earlier in the day. Again, there's nothing on the books that says he's even married, so this is bizarre. She allegedly told the officer Jones took off in a car and was possibly drinking. She told the police officer this. When cops caught up with him shortly afterwards, sometime after 10 p.m., police pulled him over, and the arrest report says the officer detected a strong odor of alcohol coming from Jones. And they say Jones admitted he drank a bottle of sake while he and his wife were at a sushi restaurant a couple hours earlier. And he said that's when they got into the argument. Jones told the officer he walked home, but the argument continued there. So he left to go to another residence to get away from her. I would imagine a lot of people probably want to get away from him, including women, based on his past history. According to the report, Jones demonstrated some impairment issues during the field sobriety test, such as swaying and losing his balance. So basically what this scumbag did is because of his own selfish reasons. He could have called a cab. He could have called an Uber. Could have called a friend. He decided to get into his own vehicle while intoxicated and put everyone's lives at risk. But should we really be shocked by this? Should we be shocked that a guy who has demonstrated for many, many years that he has no problem in hurting people, in this case possibly killing others, should we be surprised that this selfish son of a bitch decided to get into a car drunk when this is a man who has been hurting people for decades with his nonsense and his conspiracy theories? Zero credibility. He is a piece of garbage. He is a scumbag. Any name in the book. I hope this guy does go to jail. I don't know if that's going to happen, unfortunately, because he does have a lot of money, and money equals power, and when you have power, sometimes you get away with things in the court system.
So what did he blow, Brian?
The police right now are saying that they are not releasing the exact details of it. What is that noise? I hear that noise.
I hear that noise.
Is that an email that is up or something? I hear that noise like 3 times an hour, and it's driving me nuts. We've been hearing it for a month.
I probably hear it twice a day.
Oh, my God, that's
3
driving
times
me
an hour
crazy.
is a bit of a stretch. Do you have something against sake? I like sake. I'm a sake fan. So he had sake with his wife that no one knows about. And
when did I say I have a problem with sake? I have a problem with people that drive drunk.
And he walked home, right? There was a confrontation at home. He tried to leave the residence, which I can kind of relate to a little bit. And he was intoxicated while he left the residence. He drove somewhere else and he got arrested. I'd like to know what he blew. If it's a .05 or a .08 or if it's a .16 or a .20, then that's obviously egregious.
Police records are now showing that he blew around the .08 mark,
which is so he was just barely legally intoxicated.
Right at that level. Now they're also saying that he was swaying and slurring his words. Not somebody that should have gotten into a vehicle. But again, this is a guy that has a history doing and saying irresponsible things, hurting others so that he can get clicks and make money. The man has zero credibility, and he's a scumbag. Sadly, there are a lot of people on the right, maybe not a lot, but a good amount of people on the right that have supported this guy. There are people on the right that believe every word that this guy said. Again, this is a guy who says the school shooting in Connecticut never happened. When a bunch of 7, 8, and 9-year-old kids were basically decapitated at the hands of that madman kid, and adults died as well, and this piece of garbage goes on his show and says that school shooting never happened. Now, some of those parents sued him. I believe there was a settlement out of court.
I think they won.
But this guy is one of the worst scumbag human beings on the planet. He is one of the worst. It is one thing when you say egregious things. It's one thing when you say things to get attention. Like, right, when Tucker Carlson goes on his stupid television show on Fox News and he says the idea of white supremacism is a lie, that's a horrible thing to say, right? It's a horrible thing to say because it was 2 weeks after 22 people lost their lives in a Walmart. So there are certain things you shouldn't say for clicks.
And media members tend to do that because conflict travels.
It's okay to create conflict.
Conflict goes viral.
It's okay to create conflict.
But you have to keep in mind, Alex Jones would not. I think his net worth is about $25 million, but he would not be as successful as he is from a financial standpoint as far as to having a following, unless he had a following. You've got millions of people across the United States and across the world that are taking what he says and they're acting on it, and they're believing in it. So it's not. Can I fault Alex Jones for saying the things he does? Yes, but once he says them for the first or the second time, and that following increases, and he's able to make a living for himself as an entertainer, you have to look at the audience as well as Alex Jones that actually make Alex Jones who he is.
Well, I also do blame the people that support him because I think they're idiots. I mean, the guy doesn't say anything on his show that's ever honest or truthful. It's one thing to be, again, it's one thing to be a conspiracy theorist. It's another thing to intentionally hurt people for the sake of making money and clicks. Make no mistake about it, folks. That is exactly what Alex Jones did. So are we surprised that he doesn't own up to what he did? Are we surprised that Alex Jones doesn't say, you know what, I had some drinks, I had sake, I got into an altercation with my wife, I made a horrible mistake.
So you do have something
It won't happen again. It won't happen again. What do you mean I have something against sake? I have something against someone that gets into a car drunk. I have a problem with anybody that gets into a car that is, behind the wheel that shouldn't be behind the wheel. It has nothing. I don't care whether it's sake or beer or shots. I don't care what it is. Get a damn Uber. Get a taxi. It's never an excuse to get behind the wheel. Listen, if you want to kill yourself and you're dumb enough, let me explain something to you. If Alex Jones killed himself and it was a one-car accident, I wouldn't care. Because I would say he deserves it. Because he was the one that was dumb enough to get behind the car. It's not like the guy had a diabetic reaction or a heart attack, right? Then I would feel bad for him. Even though I think he's a scumbag, I would still feel bad for him. When you decide to get behind the wheel of a car and you're drunk, you're playing Russian roulette with society. It's not just you. If he was drunk and he killed himself, I wouldn't have felt bad for him at all. The problem is that it's not just about him. It's about the innocent people on the roads. Do you know how many people have died just in Las Vegas alone in the last decade because of drunk drivers who selfishly decide to get into their car intoxicated? Add this guy to the list now. Take his damn driver's license away. And for you idiots out there that support this guy, my question to you is why? Why do you watch this guy? Why? Why do you support his career? There are grieving families, grieving parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, you name it, that lost loved ones in that school shooting in Connecticut. And this guy just added poured salt into the wound. And why? Why does Alex Jones do things like that? Well, it's pretty simple, folks. He does it because he doesn't have any talent. It's the only way he can make money. Sadly, it works because there are a lot of gullible people out there in society that believe the crap that this guy spews on a regular basis.
He does because he's carved out his own niche. And again, if he didn't have the millions of followers, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. We wouldn't know who Alex Jones is. If the things that he say did not, pique the interest of his supporters and his following, there wouldn't even be a conversation. So,
yeah, shame on you. Shame on you if you decide to watch this guy, if you decide to support his career. Say what you want about one's opinions when it comes to politics. Say what you want about that sort of stuff. I would never say any of this stuff about, listen, even the people that I despise, right? Like Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson. Even they don't stoop to the level of this guy. If you support this guy, if you support his career, shame on you. It speaks volumes about your character. Speaking of character, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is time for our hate mail segment of the day, brought to you by our producer, Jason Stein. We'll take a quick break, be back right after this. Hate mail time coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.